Здравствуйте, citizens of YouTube. I'm here once again, and Gary inmendham made a video for me, and I I I I made one of those responses where you play the person's video and in real time respond to every single thing they said. His video was 20 minutes long, and when I got done with the response, it was like 40 minutes, and I was trying to review it like I always do before I upload it, and I was like, I can't even watch. I can't watch this. This is too boring. So I'm not going to. I decided to scrap that one. I'm just going to try to remember the salient points that Gary made, and respond to those to keep things shorter. Um, so first of all, there's some ponage interspersed in what Gary has to say. He brings up the free speech videos thing from like way back in the day, and I think he talked about the Captain Awesome thing. I don't know. Um, just all the go-to my cock was there stuff that people like troll me with on a regular basis. So I don't really have anything. I think he also threatened to kick my ass. Like, okay. Um, but there was one criticism that he made right at the outset, which I will cop to, which is that he said the comment I left on his video was empty and just kind of a waste of time. I agree. Um, I I don't know what I was thinking when I left that comment. Honestly, I can't imagine that I thought you would actually take my advice as friendly advice or react favorably in any way. I must not have thought that, but I didn't think you'd make a video either. I kind of thought you would see the comment and just go, whatever, it's smooth terrorist being an asshole, and just go about your day, which you didn't. Um, but the point is, like, yeah, that comment isn't something that I like firmly stand by. Um, but it stems from the fact that you triggered me. You triggered one of my you rustled my jimmies. Um, you pushed one of my buttons, which is that you a male espoused feminist ideology in public. I hate that. I really do. And it's hard for me to bite my tongue because for me, hearing a male espouse feminism, right? It's like when you watch those old videos of Bobby Fischer talking about Jewish global conspiracy. Bobby Fischer was Jewish, by the way. So the point I'm making is like there's just something obscene about hearing a person espouse an ideology that is counter to their own interests. You know, um, you know, a Chinese guy should be a Chinese nationalist. A Spanish guy should be a Spanish nationalist. In fact, this is a really good this is a great segue because at the beginning of Gary's video, one of the things he does is unrelated to me in any way. He rips on somebody else that left a comment, and all the person said is, "I'm British and I love the British royal family," and he gets pissed. It's like 5 minutes of, "Oh, you're the biggest retard ever. Can't you think of something better to spend money on than building palaces for silly people?" Um, But the palaces aren't for the silly people that live in them. The palaces are for the Brits. Just like the silly people themselves are for the Brits. They're a source of national pride. It's their mascots, like you said. So why are you getting so upset? Um, yeah, I mean, to me, for you to be calling this person a retard, like the biggest retard, because they said I'm British and I like the British royal family, it's like somebody saying I'm Mexican and I like sombreros. I'm Indian and I like sitar music. That somebody takes pride in their culture. Wow, it's um, and he goes on to say that why do you support tyrants? But I think all the tyranny took place long before the royals that we have today. Um, No, they're just symbols. But anyway, getting back to the original point, when I hear a man espouse feminist ideas, I feel like I'm seeing, number one, somebody who's been intellectually hijacked, and two, I almost kind of see it as a poor reproductive strategy. Like I see white knighting as like something guys do to get laid. Um, there's this woman I work with, very attractive, a dime piece, if you will, and very liberal, and she's got a tattoo right here that says "No freedom till we're equal." Um, in other words, no freedom ever, because we're not equal, and we'll never be equal. But anyway, her boyfriend comes in sometimes, and this guy is like the image of metrosexuality, right? Um, like he wears pink shoes and skinny jeans, and like I look at a guy like that, and I think it's just so hard to take. It's so hard to bite your tongue and keep a straight face, because it's like you are not going home and reading feminist theory by yourself at the end of the day. Like, this is obviously a reproductive strategy. You're obviously putting on an affectation to get this chick to sleep with you. And maybe it works, fine, but in that case, I guess it works. For you, it won't work. Anyway, so getting back to the point, yeah, it just bothers me to see that. But I want to, I haven't really addressed anything Gary said yet. I'm just explaining why I left the comment on his video in the first place. In case you wonder, Gary, you just hit a nerve. You just triggered me, that's all. You triggered me. But there are some things in your video that you said that I do want to take issue with, because I see them as being like a representation of larger societal trends that suck. Which is that you called me out for speaking about women as a category. You were like, "Oh, women aren't a category. They're too varied. There's too many different kinds. You can't lump them all in as." Yeah, I absolutely can. Women are a category, Gary. Women are a category, Gary. Okay? I can make broad, sweeping generalizations about them, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I can say, for example, all women have two X chromosomes. And that is a true generality. There's no outliers hiding somewhere on the globe that are female yet have a Y chromosome. Okay, so there are like, women are a category, that they're a thing, and it bothers me the way you've kind of espoused this idea throughout your video that gender is a social construct. Gender is not a social construct. Society is a construct of people with genders. And it's like I see this thinking all the time, and talk about getting the cause and the effect reversed. What I want to ask these feminists is, who foisted the patriarchy upon human beings in the first? See, because the patriarchy doesn't just hurt women; it hurts men too, right? Like, we created it, but it hurts us because it pigeonholes us into a box, and then we feel like we have to act manly in order to conform to the societal expectation of the patriarchy, right? But who started it? Did a UFO come down at some point and aliens said, "Okay, men, line up over here. Women, line up over here. Here's the way it's going to go. Here's your social contract. There you go"? No. These societal expectations, these gender roles, arose from the bottom up, not the top down, and they come from our biology. They come from the fact that men and women have reproductive strategies which are diametrically opposed. Right? A woman wants to seek one man, one stable provider, preferably an alpha male, and men want to just sow their seed as wide as possible, and you know, that difference has led to different societal coping mechanisms, different cognition. We think differently. We are different. We have different priorities. Um, you know, one of the things that Gary says in this video that I recall, because it jumped out at me, is he said, "What kind of woman are you talking about? A smooth terrorist? That are you talking about the Betty Boop type woman, or are you talking about the female physicist? Because those are very different things." Well, I don't think those are different things at all, Gary. Those are two fictional characters. Because there's no Betty Boop, and there's really no female physicists. Not by the numbers. Yeah, like you can go out and find a Mulan somewhere, right? Is that the name of that movie with the woman that pretends to be the samurai, cuts her hair so she looks like a guy? Um, you know, and am I suggesting that female physicists are pretending to be men? Yeah, I am. Um, you know, I like we've already gotten to a point where men are underrepresented at the university level. Um, what are we going to do when the bridges and skyscrapers just start falling down around us? Because that's definitely coming. Um, you know, liberal arts degrees and women with science degrees aren't going to keep the wheels turning very long. Um, I think at some point, some horrible chauvinist bigot is going to have to stand up and say, you know what, there's a difference between men and women. Um, your place is in the home with the children, dear. Let me go build some shit. Um, and if you look at the origins of feminist theory, I mean, let's talk about feminism itself. Let's talk about the movement. Um, you know what comes to mind, or what should come to mind for most people, is the original feminists, the suffragettes, the British suffragettes that got the right to vote. Um, a lot of their tactics have been whitewashed by history. Like, everybody remembers the hunger strike. Oh, those poor women starved themselves in jail because those mean men wouldn't give them the right to vote. Yeah, they also burned down churches at night, beat doctors with rhino whips in the street. Um, they were terrorists. They were essentially fucking terrorists. They were like ISIS. And really, they should have been killed. There you go. We should have ended it right there. We shouldn't have given chicks the right to vote, which they didn't earn the way men had to earn for ourselves through bloodshed. And so, like, we had to win the right to vote on the battlefield. Nobody handed it to us. It's not like the king said, "Hey guys, let's have a parliamentary system. You all seem like great folks. Would you like to determine your lives a little bit?" No. Um, and I don't think a hunger strike would have worked for us. Um, you know, at some point, a couple of uppity chicks, a couple of crazy females started whining because they wanted to be men. And we handed them the vote, which is crazy because now, you know, and if you don't think that's crazy, Gary, I mean, like you and I are both men, okay? So I know that when you turned 18 years old, you had to sign up for something called selective services. Now, all the women in the audience are scratching their heads. They don't even know what the fuck that is, Gary, but you do, don't you? Um, yeah, that's that fun lottery system where you might just get picked to sacrifice your life for the country. We might just... Oh, yeah. Um, you'll be precluded from any kind of student aid if you don't register. You can never get an education. You can never get a government job. You can never run for public office unless you sign this paper that says we might just ask for your life. Not necessarily, but we might at some point ask you to die. Whereas, and you can't vote without doing that, by the way. Did I mention that? If you don't sign up for the draft, you cannot vote. Okay? But a woman who turns 18, she just gets, she gets to vote. She doesn't have to register for the draft. Well, what is a vote? What does a vote do? It's power. It's exercising. It's deciding whether or not the country goes to war. Whether that decision is like some kind of direct democracy, let's put it to a vote, or you're electing a representative who's either going to be a pacifist or a warlike person, right? So, for example, let's say all the women get together and vote in a total war hawk. Like we get another Bush presidency, right? Now men are dying based on the decision of women who have no similar expectation of civic responsibility and sacrifice. They get to sit on their fucking asses and make decisions. That's bullshit, Gary. And some people are thinking this is a weird rant. Like, why are you going off on suffrage and the women's right to vote? Like, where is this coming from? Because if you want to talk about feminism, you got to go to the source. You got to. This is where it should have been nipped in the bud. We never should have gotten the third wave campus feminism. It should have ended in England with the Women's Social and Political Union. These chicks should have been fucking strung up by the neck and killed. That's really as simple as it is. They were terrorists. They were criminals. They should have been treated as such. And the reason that they were given pity is because that's what men do. We protect women. That's what we're programmed to do. And that's one of the most interesting things about suffrage, is if you look at when the right to vote finally came, it didn't come because of the hunger strikes. It didn't even come because of the church burnings. It came because more women wanted it than the ones that didn't. When the suffragettes and the whack job feminists couldn't get the mainstream English woman on their side, then policymakers said, fuck it, these are crazies. We're not going to capitulate. But when that tipping point of, over 50%, now they're on the side of the Women's Social and Political Union, then all of a sudden policymakers say, hey, oh, well, girls want to vote. Here you go. Here you go on a silver platter, ladies. There you go. Send me to die. Send me off to die. Here you go. Here's the vote. It never should have happened. It never should have happened. And Western culture has been sliding into oblivion ever since. It's just been a steady decline of degeneracy, spinning into this nihilistic nadir of I'm running out of 10-cent words here, Gary, but the point is feminism. Feminism in it's the current year, Gary. It's 2016. That's not cool anymore. Get with the times. But really, I've never. I want to state for the record, I've hated feminists before it was cool. Because when I started making YouTube videos in 2006, the whole MRA thing wasn't really a thing yet. There was no Gamergate. You were still very much poo-pooed for not towing the feminist line, which I did not. I didn't like him then. I don't like him now. And anyway, so there we go. So most of Gary's video is him basically saying that there's no difference between men and women. Women aren't a thing, they don't exist. They do, they are a thing, they're different, they're weaker, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Their purpose is to create new humans. They're a reproductive resource. Men, on the other hand, are expendable seed pods, which violently compete with one another, usually sometimes to the point of death, for the right to inseminate that reproductive. We're all objects, Gary, and that's the point I want to make. Because another thing you brought up in your video is this notion of female objectification. Men objectify females as sex objects. Oh, all he wants me for is sex. Well, that's a two-way street, and it's time we started addressing that. You know, for a woman to ask a man on a first date, so what do you do? That's the same as me saying, do you like it in the ass? Do you like to give head? I'm basically saying that's all I'm interested in. That's all I care about is what can I get from you. I'm not interested in who you are as a person, right? Because when a girl says, "What do you do?" It's like, should I just take out my wallet and would you two like to be alone together? Would you like to be alone with my wallet and I can just I could just go powder my nose in the bathroom while you guys have a nice dinner, you know? And that's always been the case. There's always been a sexual marketplace, and all of us have value in that market, whether we want to admit it or not. A man's value is as a success object, whereas a female's value is a sex object. And really, I think we got the short end of the stick, because at least women are being desired for an intrinsic quality of themselves. Like, if you're attractive yesterday, you're going to be attractive tomorrow. Whereas, you know, if you're getting laid because you've got the great job and the social status and all the friends and the nice car, you can lose all those things at a moment's notice. And people do. So men got the short end of the stick when it comes to objectification, and I don't want to hear any whining from chicks about having to shave their armpits or you know, suck it up, ladies. You've got it easy. And most of the things that feminists say are like the patriarchy's crimes against women are really benevolence. You know, owning money and property is dangerous. People kill you to take those things away. The right to vote is dangerous. You know, as these Trump rallies demonstrate, getting involved in politics often results in an ass kicking. What else? Women weren't allowed to operate motor vehicles. Well, that's a no-brainer. It's fucking dangerous. How many? I mean, what is that? Like the second? Or no. I think the automobile accidents are the first leading cause of unnatural death, and it would be heart disease for the leading cause of natural death, right? So most of the things that men, swaggering macho men, have like precluded women from participating in are inherently dangerous. That we're owning the shitty stuff. We're saying, yeah. I'm the proud samurai that has the warrior ethos, and I'll do that, honey. Well, yeah, because you're gonna die. You're the expendable half, and she gets to sit at home in comfort, and vacuum the carpet in pearls and high heels, I suppose. You know, I think a lot of people would prefer that life. I think that's the reason why the suicide rate is 6 times higher for males than female children upon reaching the age at which gender differences become apparent, because kids are realizing they're getting screwed. It's like a little boy realizes, I'm not just a human, I'm a type of human called a boy. And you know, I have to compete with all these other boys to be good enough for her, and she doesn't really have to do anything at all, except be lucky enough to have been born attractive. Yeah, fuck this. And that's happening every day, every minute of every day, by the statistics. I think it's also the reason why we have transgendered people, which are not an invention of Western society. They there have been transgender people in every epoch, in every place in the world. Um, and most of them tend to be male to female and not female to male. Why? Who wouldn't want to live a life of being a object of desire that doesn't ever have to do anything dangerous or scary or compete or hide their emotions? Being a man sucks. Um, Nevertheless, you know, you got to take what you're given in this life, and I think if you're cutting things off of your body, you have a mental illness. Because by the way, if anybody's wondering, I was kind of away for the whole Caitlyn Jenner thing. Yeah, mental illness. I'm a big supporter of the gay community, always have been, always will be. No problem with the gays. Transgenders are fucking nuts. If you want to suck a dick, suck a dick. Be gay. You don't have to change your physiology. You don't have to cut things off. You don't have to risk infection. But you know, I think I read somewhere that some statistic. What was the statistic about hospital errors? Because it's one of those things they put on the mainstream news to scare people, but I'm sure it's true. Like medical errors are like 40% of all deaths that occur in a hospital now. So you're really taking a big risk by getting gender reassignment surgery, and I would say it's an unnecessary risk. And all these people tend, by the numbers, to end up committing suicide anyway, probably because they come to their senses and realize, oh my god, I've mutilated myself. What do I do now? Suddenly I want to fuck a girl. Oops. You know. Wow. This is a good video. No, I'm not going to delete this one. Yeah. Yeah. Let's let him let him chew on this one. Maybe my Encyclopedia Dramatica article can get a little bit longer once I upload this. Yeah. So, anyway, Gary, gender's not a social construct. Women are different than men. Not superior, different. But you said that men can do math and science and girls can't. Doesn't make you superior. Where is this superior in fit? What was it Einstein said that a fish will spend its whole life thinking that it's stupid if you judge its intelligence by its ability to climb a tree, right? Just like I suck at math too. Does that mean I'm a stupid person? I don't think so. We all have different strengths. We all have different weaknesses, and a woman's strength, a woman's strength has and always has been manipulation. And I just don't believe that women are this underprivileged class. I think they've always had equal, if not more, power than their male counterparts, but it's a power that's more difficult to see. It's the power of manipulation. It's easy to see the power of a swaggering male walking around with a war club in his hand and a crown on his head. But it's harder to see the power of the woman that's whispering in that guy's ear. Hey, I don't like that guy. Kill that motherfucker. You know, that's power. That's power. That's what makes nations rise and fall. And, you know, so there's this whole thing that women have been, that over 50% of the human population has been the oppressed half for all of human history, and just in the past few hundred years are they starting to come into their own. And no, sir, I don't buy that. Anyway, yeah. I am unself-conscious enough to post this video on the internet. I really am. I'm pulling the trigger, guys. I'm doing it. It's going up. um, get back in the kitchen, ladies.